Then we have fault isolation. Fault isolation is a practice that sends a few of the requests to some of the resources just to isolate the fault. This requires if one shard of resources, one group of resources is infected or down, the other group of resources will be still up and running, and we can isolate the fault and it can take up the control. Okay. Optimize for cost. AWS economies of scale offer organizations huge opportunities to make cost saving. Now this is nothing but, let's say, see, whenever you bulk the things in, like if you are purchasing something in a wholesale, like bulk of servers you are purchasing, or if you are purchasing bulk storage, you will definitely get lot of discount on that. Against that, you are purchasing one server. Okay, when you purchase one single server or you purchase multiple servers together, so when you purchase the resources in a bulk, you will get a very good discount. So likewise, Amazon is purchasing the resources in a bulk, is getting lot of discounts, and those discount, what the cost benefit Amazon is getting, that it is passing to the customer also, and that will be like per the charges what is incurred for the services, the pay as you go model, it will be applicable in that. Okay, so the benefits are passed to the customer as well on the service usage charge. Then we have right sizing. AWS allows you to select the most cost effective resources and configuration to fit your requirement. A wide variety of instances type can be chosen from. So this again, we have discussed on this part, that if you choose the correct service, the correct size of the service, you will again, you can save the money in that part. Elasticity. AWS offers many elasticity options to help you save your money. You can do horizontal scaling, you can do vertical scaling, you can shut down the resources, the servers, the services which you are not using to save your money. Okay. Well, let's say we have deployed some services but we are not using it for some time, just shut down, don't keep it up, because as it is running, you are charged for that. Now, discussing about the purchasing options. So when you are launching an EC2 instance, we have three different types of purchasing option, that is on demand, reserved, and spot. Now by default it is on demand. On demand means EC2 on demand instance pricing means you only pay for what you use with no long term commitment. If I am using it for 1 hour, I am charged only for 1 hour. If I'm using it for 10 minutes, I'm charged only for 10 minutes. So it's using the pay as you go model, that is the on demand EC2. Okay, purchasing option as the type on demand, and this one is the default one. Now I have another one which is known as reserved one. In the reserved, what I can do by looking at the pattern, let's say if I am sure that I am going to use this instance for a period of 1 year, or for a period of 3 years, I can just reserve, I can get the purchasing option as reserved. So when I'm reserving the instance for a period of 1 year, the benefit that I'm getting is I will get a heavy discount on that, because I am paying the amount at once. So almost 75% cost benefit I get when I go for the reserved instance. That is one thing. Again, when you go for reserved instance, we have different types of different types of payment. I can do the down payment. If I'm doing a down payment while I'm reserving it at the beginning itself, I'll get a very good discount. If I have another option wherein I can go for EMI, or I have another option wherein I can pay some small amount and then I can pay the remaining amount after some time. So like this, different payment options are there. Depending on the payment option, again you will get the discount. Okay, but the reserved, you will get a this one compared to on demand, it gives a very good cost benefit. So you can reserve for 1 year or you can reserve for 3 years minimum. Purchasing option, we have another purchasing option, spot. I will show you when we launch the EC2 instance, these options will be highlighted over there. So EC2 spot instance are ideal for workload that have flexible start and end time. Now this spot is nothing but it is actually, not necessary that whatever resources, whatever servers or whatever resources Amazon has in their data center, all are occupied always. It is quite possible that there are many resources which are not utilized. Many spare resources are there. So what Amazon does, the unutilized resources, Amazon will just put for a bid. Okay. Now the customers can bid for the unused resources or the spare resources what Amazon is offering, and Amazon will set some baseline price. So you will have to bid any price, like any price above that particular baseline. If your price is on a higher side what compared to other customer, you will get that particular instance. But the disadvantage of spot is that if any other customer, let's say you have at that particular time your price was on the higher side, so you got that instance, and after 10 minutes some other customer has bidded again a higher than you, so your that instance will be taken from you, right? So that's the reason it is highlighted that it is this you should go for spot instance when your workload, it is ideal for workload that have a flexible start and end time. So anytime if the instance is taken back from you, it should not affect your business. That is one thing, and should have a start and flexible end time. And spot instances are often available at significant discounts compared to on demand pricing. So this I can say the best example use case for spot instances, you can put this behind your ELB just to balance the workload. You can have a combination of on-demand, reserved, and spot behind your ELV, so that you will get the load balancing feature also, as well as it will be a cost-effective this one solution. Now we have various spot strategies. There are three spot strategies. Bidding. You can bid higher than the spot market to get the overall cheaper price. It totally depends on the bid value. You can go for mixed strategy. As I said, behind your ELB, you can have your one instance as on demand, the other one as reserved, the other one as spot. So even if the spot instance is taken back from you, it will not affect anything. Still, you have the on demand and reserved instance with you. Okay, or you can use a spot block wherein you can bid for fixed duration spot instances. Let's say I want to use the instance only between 9 and 5, from 9 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. So I can bid only for during that time. If in during that time, if my bid value is the higher one, it will give me that instance. Otherwise, it won't. So I can, as per my requirement, I can define that. Now we have something known as caching. So caching, it always improves the performance, as you must be knowing. Caching data means storing previously calculated data for future use. If the same data is used again and again, it will be cached and you don't have to recalculate it. So there are two types of caching. The application side also caching happens, and the edge caching. Edge caching already we discussed. It's about the CDN, the CloudFront service is used for edge caching to get the access to the data for a high, you can say low latency, high speed access to the data located for the users located in different geography. So the edge caching, for that we have CloudFront service, which is a cache server, content delivery network, and application caching, wherein it will do a in-memory cache within the server for the application for the frequently accessed data. And we have even elastic cache also, that also we discuss, which is used for with the database, right? It will be sitting in front of the database to cache the repeated queries. Now AWS offers you a range of product and services to ensure the security of your resources, such as defense in depth, reduce privilege access, security as code, and real-time auditing. Defense in depth add multiple layers of protection to your resources. We have various, you can say, as I said earlier, also various layers of security we have. Okay, so we have to implement those things. Reduce privilege access. Give the users only that access which they require. So you should always grant the least, and then you can, if the requirement changes, you can give more access, but always start from the least privilege. Security as a code. Capture all your security requirements in one script that you can deploy in new environment. So as I said in the CloudFormation template, even you can capture your security features also. Okay, you can even write that in the script, the entire security feature. So when you are deploying that the template in the new environment, it will again implement the same security feature. You do not have to do those things manually. Real-time auditing. Test and audit your environment in real time. This is has to be done on a regular basis, right? Coming to knowledge check. A stateless application is one that, Okay, just hold on, guys. Before we switch to the knowledge check, let me see if any question is unanswered. Let me just scroll up. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, Shubh says, do load balancers should be in same availability zone? Yeah, Shubh, see, load balancer will be there in a region, okay? And behind the load balancer, we will have the instances. The instances can span across the availability zone. Muthu says, do we need to clear snapshot every time, like every month? No, Muthu, it is not required to be cleared. As long as you want, you can keep the snapshot. Okay, it is nothing but snapshot of your. It's like a backup. You are taking backup of your instance. So if you want, you can keep. But if the free tier limit crosses, you will be charged for that. So once you're done with your work, you can remove also. Snapshots are mainly backup for recreating the images. Is golden? Yes, yes. Kunal, it is correct. The golden image is nothing but your AMI. Okay, the AMI what you have created from a customized EC2 is your golden image. Okay, golden image. Um, we don't use the term backup for that, Neelam. Okay, snapshot is a backup. Golden image is your AMI. Then can you please recon? Okay, this is like message will be in queue until service. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so all of you have answered. So let me just see. A stateless application is one that needs no knowledge of previous interaction. Yes, the answer is correct. What is the difference between golden image and cloud formation? Golden image is just a image of your EC2 instance. Okay, cloud formation, Satya, it is the complete template of the complete infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure you have deployed, you can create a template of that, the complete infrastructure template together. But golden image is only for that. Okay. Logo says DynamoDB it's part of stateless and stateful. Yes, yes, Logo. It can be in a stateless. That's what I said. No, it can be a stateless or a stateful depending on how and where it is keeping the data. It is a stateless if it is keeping the data in a central storage. It is a stateful if it is keeping it in the internal storage. So it's applicable on both the places. Bootstrap script, can we call it as init script? Yeah, you can call it as a RC script or init script, Logo. Okay. Which service is responsible for assigning new resources? Which service is responsible for assigning new resources during a failure? It's not just one service, Logo. During a failure, it is a combination of multiple services, multiple features, okay, at each depending on what service, which service has failed and what feature you implemented accordingly. Just like we have EC2 auto recovery, okay. So like this, we have depend on the service. No, sorry. What is Muthu? No, sorry for what? Any option we can block? Any option we can block the spot instance for few hours? Yeah, that's what. No, the spot block what we discussed, Pradesh. If you see spot block, we have different types. No, so we can block it as per our this one spot bid for fixed duration. Okay. Do we need to take snapshot every time, like every month? No, Muthu, it depends on how frequently it is changing. Your EC2 instance configuration, if you are changing, you are making some changes on the EC2 instance, then you are supposed to take the snapshot, right? So that the updates will be available in the snapshot. This is my original question, but I typed clear instead of take. Okay, okay. Is it clear now, right? Okay, for this we have to write CLI script, right? For what I didn't get you. For what we have to write a CLI script? For bootstrapping, are you asking for snapshot bootstrapping? I'm not getting which for which particular thing. Can you just clarify your question? What's your name? How do I call you? For this we have to write CLI script. Can you please type your name? I can see DMOFFMAIL. I don't find your name over there. Okay, next question. Please repeat your question. I didn't get your question. That this one for this, I didn't get this statement. Sorry. I'm just typing the question back. This I am not clarify. Okay. And please, can you type your name also so that it will be easy for me to call by name. Loose coupling is desirable because all of you are answering C. It means the failure of one or more resource does not result in a service outage. Correct. There will not be a dependency. Fine. Next question. The three EC2 purchasing options that make cloud computing unique are. So on-demand, spot and reserve, right? Vasant has a question. Data center replication happen and what technology is used? See, data center replication, that is one which we have to implement, right? It is nothing but it won't happen automatically. We will have to do the designing. We are the architect. We have to design the DR site, and there is no technology as such. The one, like how we design accordingly, the replication will happen. It is on a similar lines like when you are designing your data center DR site across your availability zone. Instead, you are designing it across your region, right? So there is not a single, like I can say this particular technology is used. It is the designing part, how you are designing it and in what way you are connecting. You can connect from your primary data center to your DR site by using the internet also. You can connect through the lease line as well. Okay, so there are different ways to do that, but it comes in the designing part, the DR. Okay, fine. Now, okay, now moving to next part of this, that is monitoring and logging. So monitoring and logging, we have a CloudWatch, Cloud Trail, and Config. So we have discussed this, the high level information. We have already discussed what is CloudWatch and the Trail and the Config. So once again, it's highlighted here. CloudWatch, as I said, that it is used to monitor your resources in AWS. So monitoring AWS resources and application, it use alarm to send the notification. It collect and track the metrics. So CloudWatch, almost with all the services, you can see this CloudWatch metrics will be highlighted. Will show you the graph of the utilization of the resources and all that. So I will showcase you this. Not that this one, nothing has to be configured here in the CloudWatch. So I'll just showcase you once we start working with the services. Then automatically make changes to monitor resources based on the defined rules. So what rules we have defined, accordingly it can perform the action. Now CloudWatch events deliver a stream of system events which alert about changes to the AWS resources. For example, alerts are sent to services such as AWS Lambda, the SNS Simple Notification Service, or SQS or Kinesis. What we can do, CloudWatch we can set as a trigger to the Lambda also, or it can, as the, let's say I have set some threshold, and if it crosses the threshold, I want it should notify me. So I can integrate CloudWatch with the SNS. So by using SNS, it will notify the user. So like this, I can integrate multiple services. So CloudWatch is to monitor the resources, and I am integrating that with other services to perform the action. Then CloudWatch events can be used to schedule events such as snapshot creation or instance reboot. What it should do when, let's say when my instance is launched and I want that at some particular time it should take the snapshot, I can define that. Or it should reboot the instance when the instance is not used. Let's say my CPU utilization is 0%. I want that it should reboot my instance, or it should shut down my instance. So I can define some actions, such type of actions as well. In addition to monitoring the built-in metrics, you can monitor your own custom metrics. So as I said earlier also, for each service we have multiple metrics defined by Amazon. We can use those metrics, we can monitor, or we can even set our own metrics also, right? CloudWatch log we have. CloudWatch logs are used to monitor, store, and access applications or system log files from EC2 instances or AWS CloudTrail and other sources. Okay, so the log what it generates, it is used to monitor, store, and access the application. As we discussed, we have a CloudWatch agent also, which we can install on the EC2 instance, and within the EC2 instance, whatever applications are running, it will even keep a watch of that as well. Okay, so it can generate a log. Even a CloudTrail log can be analyzed by using a CloudWatch. There are certain limits highlighted here. CloudWatch limit. CloudWatch has limits for metrics, events, and logs. Some of the key limits are 10 alarm per customer per month for free. Now this is all about the free tier. Okay, you can, by default, CloudWatch will give you the basic, it will do the basic monitoring. You can even get the detailed monitoring also, but that is chargeable. Fine. So how much comes under, what comes under free tier? It's highlighted here. You have 5,000 alarms per AWS account, which is free. Metrics data is stored for 2 weeks. Unlimited number of custom metrics. You have 1,000 Amazon SNS email notification per customer per month for free. So like this, you have so many. The metrics are there, and if you are there with working within the limit, you are not charged for that. Then CloudTrail for monitoring the user activity. So it records the API calls for your account. It provides history of API calls for your account, what you did after you log on, what server you launched, which one you terminated, which service you connected, each and everything, whether that was a successful, whether it was a failed, everything it will record. It stores and delivers log files for you. So you can even create a log also, and that will get stored in the S3 bucket, and you can use that for detailed monitoring, for detailed analysis. You can use the log detailed information. Now, increased visibility. Amazon CloudTrail provides increased visibility. It helps you answer questions such as, now CloudTrail will help you to answer this question. For example, what actions did a given user take over a given period of time? So as we discussed that, once you log on, what you have done, that will get recorded. Which user has taken actions on a given resource over a given period of time, means whether it is a root account has done or whether it is any IAM user, that it will record. From which IP that activity was done and which activities failed. As I said, it will, whether that was a failed or whether it was a successful, that also it will be recorded in a CloudTrail. I will showcase you all this practically. Now, durable and inexpensive log file storage. So we can keep the CloudTrail log file, we can store that on an S3 bucket, and the old logs we can move it to Glacier, so that we will get a cost benefit, because keeping it in S3 compared to keeping in Glacier compared to S3, it will cost you very low. Glacier is very inexpensive, so you can just apply the lifecycle management tool, and you can move your, let's say you can keep it for 30 days in S3, and after that I want that it should move to Glacier. So log files, old log files, I can archive it. Then we have easy administration. CloudTrail is a fully managed service, so no installation is required. You just have to configure. Means by default it will start logging the things. Only the thing is that if you want to have a detailed report and you want to generate a log, you will have to do configuration. Otherwise you don't have to do anything. Simply turn on CloudTrail for your account and start receiving CloudTrail log files in the Amazon S3 bucket that you specify. So by default CloudTrail starts logging, but the log file will not be generated. So only that part you have to configure. Raju, we are going to discuss the lifecycle management tool in the S3 topic. Okay, it is related to S3. Fine. Now notifications for log file delivery. I want that as a CloudTrail creates a log file in the S3 bucket, it should notify me. Okay, as a log file comes in the S3 bucket. So what I can do, I can use SNS for that. So I can configure SNS. So as a log file comes in, that SNS will send me a notification. And let's say I am supposed to take care of the security. I am from a security audit team. So I will start analyzing the log. Okay, the CloudTrail log. So multiple services you can integrate, like one service you can integrate with the other. So the services will communicate, will talk to each other once you integrate. Now, the CloudTrail, whatever log file CloudTrail creates, it will not do analyzing of that. So the analyzing of the CloudTrail log file either can be done by using a CloudWatch, or what you can do, you can use the third-party tools, Logly, Sumo Logic, or these are the third-party tools. Splunk, fine. By using this, you can analyze the CloudTrail log file. Log file aggregation. So what you can do, let's say you have multiple accounts. So for all those accounts, you want to keep a log file in one particular place, in a central place, like in one bucket, S3 bucket. So you can even aggregate your log file for all the accounts within the same S3 bucket. Encrypted log files, you can even encrypt your log files. So S3, we have a server side encryption with S3. You can enable that so that the log file will be kept in encrypted form, or you can generate your own encryption keys by using KMS, key management services. Okay. Log file integrity validation, you can even use this log file integrity validation. So what this integrity validation does, once a log is generated, it will check if anybody has accessed the log file, anybody has modified the log file or changed the log file. So that kind of checking it will do, integrity validation means. So you can validate the integrity of CloudTrail log file stored in the S3 bucket and detect whether the log file were unchanged, modified, or deleted since the log delivered in the S3 bucket. Okay, to keep track of the changes. Now we have next service, that is AWS config service, which is used to keep track of the configuration changes. It will hold the configuration history, resource inventory, and the change notification. Now, as I as I was talking earlier, see AWS config rule. Now, as an IT administrator can quickly determine when and how a resource went out of compliance. Okay. Now, the resource will go out of compliance when it is not following the rules or the policies. For example, it ensures EBS volumes are encrypted. Let's say the compliance says that the EBS volume should be encrypted. EC2 instance should be tagged, and EIP are attached to instances. So the example I highlighted, let's say I have created an EC2 instance. So while I'm creating, I'm supposed to tag my EC2 instance. If I have not done that, it goes out of compliance. My EBS volume, if it is not encrypted, I have not enabled the encryption in EBS volume, again it will go out of compliance. So it will give that information. And let's say Elastic IP is not attached to any instance. So like this, it will if based on the configuration rules, it will check whether it is going out of compliance, and accordingly it will keep track of those things. Okay, that is about the AWS the config service. Now, configuration visibility, view all the configuration attributes of your resources in real time. That is done by AWS config. It will check the attributes and it compares. Amazon, it uses SNS, will notify you of any updated configuration or specific changes from the previous state. Okay, suppose initially you tag the instance and later you remove the tag. So any changes that is happened on the configuration, the config will keep track of that, and by using SNS service, it will notify you. It will do continuous assessment. So it will assess the overall compliance of your resources, resource configurations based on your organization's policies and guidelines. So you can define your own policy. If you have defined that EC2 should be tagged, then it will compare the actual this one EC2 with the policy what you have defined, and it will say that it is out of compliance. If you have not defined that EC should be tagged, then it will not come under that particular thing, configuration changes. So it will do assessment and it will identify that. Now we have the cloud governance dashboard we have. So AWS config rules give you a visual dashboard. Okay, so it's easy to understand the changes. Visual dashboard with list, charts and graphs to help you quickly spot the non-compliant resources and take the appropriate action. So if it is in a visual format, it will be easy for us to quickly understand where it is out of compliant, and we can just make the changes on that particular service. Okay, so let's do a knowledge check. What services assist you with the monitoring and logging of your cloud environment? Okay, so we have we have CloudWatch. Excuse me. We have CloudTrail and CloudWatch, CloudTrail, and Config. Okay, so CloudWatch is to monitor the resources, CloudTrail is to monitor user activity, and Config is for configuration changes to find out whether the resources are out of compliant. Okay. Which tool would you use to monitor AWS resource and performance utilization? Resource monitoring and performance utilization. Very good. Okay, so it's Cloud Watch. Good. Now, now this is the last part of the of this particular topic, that is hybrid architecture. Instance tagging is nothing but giving a name to the instance. It is a key pair value. Okay, I will define, let's say the key name is name, and the value for that is, let's say this instance I am launching for the demonstration for this class, so I will give demo 12th of May. Okay, so the key is my name, value is the demo 12th of May. Fine, so that is nothing but tagging, providing a name. Because in real time environment, when you are launching multiple instance for different customer, it makes sense that you give some name, tag your instances. Otherwise, what will happen, while you are making changes on the instance level, you might make change to the wrong instance, right? If you don't tag it properly. So it's better that as per the business in which business unit in which it is used, or as per the customer, this one, you can either give the customer name or the business unit name, whatever. Tag it properly.